Hi everyone, Ryan here from Build and Bloom. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build a complete AI SMS agent that handles inbound messages, obtains conversational contact, books appointments, all automatically. This isn't just a basic chatbot. It's going to be able to qualify leads. It's going to be able to handle bookings intelligently, store everything in Airtable and Supabase. The reason we use Airtable is it's a visual UI for your clients, and Supabase is a good place for you to store centralized data. By the end of this video, you'll have a working SMS agent that can handle real customer conversations and make bookings for you. Let's dive in. Okay, let's get started. We're going to build an AI SMS agent that actually converts, able to read conversation context. It's going to also have the ability to qualify leads intelligently. It is very handy because it's going to work 24/7. It's going to do everything automatically. We're going to be using a dual database storage, Airtable for visibility, Supabase for speed. It's going to have automatic booking, which qualifies leads and books appointments. That happens through cow.com, which if you've been following along with our series, that's the booking system that we do generally use. However, if you're using any other booking system, ideally you're going to be doing the same process. You just kind of have to find out the API process and whatever they have in the documentation, and it should be able to do it for you. So what happens is the webhook receives the data. So this is the webhook here. Once the webhook receives the data, the code node is going to pass the webhook. It's going to find the lead if it's already existing or not. If it's a new lead or if it's a new person messaging, it's going to create a new record on Airtable and Supabase. And then it's going to build context and just go through this workflow all the way through. What it does is it's going to update the transcript history. It's going to log inbound messages. It's going to check if someone has decided to pause or has stopped it. It's going to check the status. If it is stopped, it's going to unsubscribe. So the agent isn't going to reply. And it'll go through and fetch recent messages. And prior to it going to the actual agent, it's going to summarize the messages and give the agent a full, well-rounded context on what's actually happening. Otherwise, what you'll find is it's just going to keep repeating the same messages before it replies to the message, sends it to Twilio, and updates the Airtable. Summarizes a conversation, and all of that is stored within Supabase. Okay. So we're just going to go through all of that. We're going to go through the webhook setup on Twilio. And we're going to be going through the Supabase. If you have been following along with our previous YouTube video, ideally what we're pretty much building, we're just building off that Airtable, and you'll be able to store the data in there. And then it's going to build context and conversation context all in there as well. All right. So we're going to go through these step by step. This is the leads management table that we built before in our previous video. Let's just clear these really quickly. Yes, clear. Cool. And this is the Supabase that we have built previously. So we just want to make sure that you have these specific things. You want to have created that body, session ID, type, lead ID, context channel status, phone. It is important for you to have quite a few of these. Lead ID or UUID is what we use to keep records of everything, or to correlate the specific messages or specific data to other tables. We use it as a modality to interconnect the table. Okay. So you guys can just pause and just try and see and get all these specific values, or you can build one that's good for you. I do highly recommend that you have a phone, an ID, name, email, service type, context. You don't really need lead score, AI summary, and status. And you also you're going to need whether it has been paused or not, which we'll have a look through. Cool. So by the end of this, you're going to be able to have a fully functional SMS agent that does everything for you. You have your Supabase table and you have your Twilio connected. Your Airtable is going to have to be connected as well, which is what we were building before. So do try and make sure that you already have all these ready. If you're confused on getting the credentials, we'll look through our previous video and I'll show you where to get the credentials for that. Now, before we get started, where we're going to start is we're going to connect the Twilio. So what you want to do is go to the specific number that you're using. You're going to buy a number. It's usually pretty cheap. It usually costs like maybe $3 or whatever. And when you create the webhook, so when you do go in there and find this JSON, so you copy this webhook, the production one, and you put it in here. So when a message comes in, which is message service, you'll go webhook and just copy this and paste it in here. You are going to need to create a messaging service. Once you create a messaging service, that's primarily usually for WhatsApp and Meta, if you are going to be using that. If you're not, I don't think it's as big of a deal. Make sure you have all your credentials on the Airtable, and we're going to get started. So first things first, so you send a message. Once you send a message, it should have, so obviously a copy. It's going to send a set of data like this. Okay. Once it sets the data like this, you're going to ensure that every single one of these workflows is working. When it comes to the code nodes, some of them possibly need to be specific for you. So what you can do is you can copy this and paste it on your ChatGPT, try and give it a little bit more context in what you're actually trying to do and get it to build it out for you. So I'm just going to widen this a little bit and let's zoom in. Let's right here. So I'm just going to troubleshoot this. So this is a clone of ours that I made for this. And we're going to be troubleshooting it all the way through from the beginning. Okay. Cool. So let's execute. What happens? There you go. So if it's not found, let's create a lead. Forbidden credentials. If it's forbidden credentials, we went through this before. You need to make sure that all of this works. And what you can do is create leads. Here. I have an error here. Okay. Sorry, so I just had to go through and update all the Airtable nodes. What you want to do, I'm definitely going to remove this from here because I don't really want you guys to be using that. You can just edit this. I'll remove that and just put a number in there. Remember, I use pinned ones because it's just so much easier to test stuff in comparison to going back and forth and texting and messaging and going back and forth and just doing the whole exercise. Pinning works pretty well because you're hard coding that specific set of data for that instance. And then once it's all done and everything is fully functional and the full workflow works, then you remove all the pins and then you start working through it properly because it makes things significantly easier, especially when you're just doing testing and you're just configuring your workflows for the first time. But you need to make sure that these are specific. So this one says Billy James. We go in here, Billy James, since last contact, SMS history, call history. Well, we have SMS transcript here too. So that's pretty cool to have. So what this does is you'll send the message. And once the message goes through, just to show you that this actually works, that's the message there. So there's above ones are a bunch of test ones, which we did in our last video. And this is for today. Okay. So we'll go execute and we'll process through. What error is this? Same thing. You just want to make sure that this could not be processed by service unknown field. Oh, that's full name, phone number. Cool. So we'll go. Hold on, and You can use ID. Sometimes it's better to use ID. Not sometimes. It's usually better to use ID because it's going to correlate that specific number to specific row to what you're trying to do. And usually how that works is when it connects to that row, even though you don't necessarily see an Airtable record ID, there is a record ID in there to show you exactly where it is. Okay, I just got exit workflow. Let's see how far we get. Cool. So this is just kind of like the same stuff. Cool. Hold on. Let me just go through this and I will be configuring this all over again to make sure that all the phone numbers are working properly. So we'll go ID instead of that. So we'll refresh this. I'm just going to be showing you guys raw how I would troubleshoot this if I was just new. I'm just getting this fresh because I do think it's of value for you guys to actually see this. Update transcript. So updating the transcript. So what we'll do is SMS transcript is here. So you go build inbound transcript and you put that there and it's going to execute step. Cool. And there you go. And that should update. Cool. And we'll just keep going and that will execute. So that one would be on the most recent one, which would be messages. Log inbound, create row, messages, lead ID. So that'll be the most recent one. So let's go by. Cool. So it'll be just that one there. Here you go. And it's just a test. This is purely for test at the moment that was created. This is the ID. This is the session ID. Session ID is usually I would link in terms of the Twilio channel. Content, which is the SMS transcript, the phone number, the SMS channel is SMS, content is reset, retest message twice. We'll delete this. We don't need that. And direction in. Cool. And we will proceed. Execute step. Cool. So check pause. So what this does is it'll check if if it's paused, which is here. Right. So go to leads. It is AI paused. So it says false. If it said true, if this said true in that particular lead, the workflow would end there. Right. So let's say that this person messages and they don't want to speak to the AI. They want to speak to a human. That's the reason we have that there. And this is going to check the pause status. And that's all good. And if this is an if node, go through the if node, goes through false because there is no pause on that. Okay. There's no stop on that. Sorry. That's what stop is in terms of, let's say someone decides that it's unsubscribed. So that would send a message to Twilio. And when you configure your Twilio, you'll say if someone wants to resubscribe, they'd have to go through they'd have to say start or something along those lines. And let's just go through every single one of these. Let's see. So this detects if there's a handoff. So we'll go through this in the next video. So if the client or the customer or the lead requests to speak to a human instead, what you'll do is it will go through a handoff and it's going to notify you, or it's going to send a message to you, or you can send it to Slack, in which you'll get a message handoff. So I will give you, this is one that we use to qualify leads. So you need to have your business and your first name. You don't necessarily need business name. This is just purely for our purpose. I'll delete some of these. So date, because if you want to have the date, you go here. No, created at that specific date. And the good thing about this is you get a quick brief on how it's coming out and what the messages is actually going into it. So this is just first name, last name. So lead first name. This is incorrect. So you want to fix this. So what you put, full name, first name, your business. I'll show you how you can troubleshoot that. And now it should executing. So that's going through the ChatGPT node. So this, now it has replied. Okay. These are the nodes. So this is to save lead information. So let's say that someone messages and you don't have any information about this specific person and you need more information, or you just wanted to update. You write it as a prompt, and within the prompt, which is here, save lead information, you can update the tables, so both the Airtables and the Supabase tables. So we have it set for both. You have to make sure that you put the right phone number in there, so it actually leads directly to said record. Okay, and you just let the AI determine the specific fields that you want. Everything else you can just delete. It's not really that relevant. There you go. Leads, record ID, contact. That's right. We'll use phone number instead. Usually I prefer to use record ID, but for simplicity, we can use phone number. Sometimes if it's too far, it's not going to let you use it. So you just use the closest one. And let's say that you wanted to update. If it's like a full name, it asks for a full name, it asks for the email address. If it needs to add any notes, all of that, that will be added in the workflow anyway. I think the most important stuff is to name, full name, and email address. I think those are probably the most important. And now this is your cow.com API and how to book your stuff on cow.com. So this is previously set to hours. So I'm going to definitely have to delete this. So ideally, you're just going to be doing a HTTP request on cow.com. Just give it as a tool. I prefer giving it as a tool and it's be able to determine whether it's needed or not. This is your API, which I'm most definitely going to delete out of this one. And you need to make sure that just like the 11 labs node, you need to have your event type ID, the start, the name, the email address, the time zone. Okay. It all depends on what you've actually set out. This is to create booking. To check booking, it's this URL here, which you can also find on 11 labs. So what you'll need is your API key, which is this one here. Okay. Your event type ID, which would be this one, which we went through before. The created time and date, which the AI will determine, and date 2, which will also be determined by the AI. Okay. So you just need to make sure that you have those specific parameters and those specific details. Okay. And once you have those, it should be all good. All right, let's just finish this off. Cool. All right, so I'm just going to pin this so we can save us some time. And I'm going to just execute this last step. So what is this? So it's problem with the phone number. And what you will do is you'll find where you want it to go. And you press test and we'll click execute step. Here, columns to match. We'll go ID. We'll cancel this and to record table ID. And you're gonna update transcript. Transcript is this one. So you would copy that one and update transcript there. And that should update the transcript here as well. Okay. See, that's the notes that's been updated by the agent. Also, it's quite handy because I guess it'll update and save the information that it needs. And let's proceed and execute steps. Cool. And there you go. So now you should be able to send the messages. So if we just, let's do that one again. Cool. And there you go. That's the message that's just been sent just from the test. You will be able to converse with it and go through all of it. So I would go through the full system. The create booking is probably the one that's probably going to take a little bit more testing, and it is going to be a little bit annoying and frustrating in order for you to get it. However, what you can do is just prompt the agent from here that you want to make a booking, and it should go through the full system and process. And once you go through that, just go through the testing, just message the agent with the specific time zones that you want, the specific times that you want. So I'll take a screenshot. So now it's asking, I'm just testing. Can you see that? No, you can't. Okay, cool. I'll just show you. So now it's asking, what bookings do you have? Asked, what bookings do you have available? It says what time zone you're in first. It says, perfect. You're in Perth. Would tomorrow morning or afternoon work better? Okay. So another thing that you can do is play around with the prompt, see what works best for you, the kind of tone that you want, the style, the conversation vibe and aura in order for you to get it perfect. And within time, it's going to work what's best. It's going to do what's best for you, for your business in particular. The workflows that I'll show you are workflows that we actually do use and we find value out of. So as we build them, I'll just share them with you as well. Do subscribe and comment on this video if you did find this useful, and make sure that you do join ourschool.com, where we should be sharing all of this for free at the moment. And if you have any questions, send us a message or anything along those lines. We'll be happy to help. Thank you. Bye.